Hello and welcome to Lantern Lane Stories. Tonight's story is The Cats of the Marble Garden. Before Buenos Aires woke up, Marmol was already walking. She was a small gray cat with white paws and two amber eyes the color of honey. Her fur was almost exactly the same shade as the stone walls around her. That was why the volunteers had given her this name. Marmol means marble in Spanish. She lived in La Recoleta Cemetery in the heart of the city. All around her rose hundreds of tall stone vaults. They looked like tiny houses built side by side in long, quiet corridors. But these houses were made of marble and dark granite, not brick. Some had carved angels perched on their rooftops, wings folded. Some had iron doors decorated with loops and leaves. Some had small glass windows, and through the glass you could see stone urns and wilted flowers. The cemetery covered 5.5 hectares. If you tried to walk every corridor, you would walk for a very long time. There were 4,691 vaults in total. 94 of them had been declared National Historical Monuments, protected forever. Marmol padded slowly along the cool stone paths. A breeze drifted in from the river plate, the wide brown river beside the city. It smelled of water and faraway grass. Jasmine grew along the south wall. Its tiny white flowers, barely bigger than a fingernail, filled the air with sweetness. A dove cooed from a stone ledge above. The city outside was beginning to hum. But inside these high stone walls, everything was still quiet the way a library is quiet. Calm the way a garden after rain is calm. Marmol liked it best at this hour. She was not alone. 11 other cats lived in this old cemetery with her. There was Tango, a fat orange Tom who always ate first at every meal. There was Sombra, as black as midnight, who liked to drape herself across a tall stone angel. There was old one-eared Gatto, who had lived here longer than anyone. Together they were 12. The guardians of the marble garden? Long ago, this place had not been a cemetery at all. It had been a garden on the outskirts of the city. More than 300 years ago, monks came here. They were called the Recollect monks, or Los Recoletos. They wore simple brown robes and walked quietly along earthen paths. They built a convent here, a place to pray and to live. Right beside it, they built a beautiful white church. It was named the Church of Our Lady of the Pillar. The church was finished in 1732. Its white tower still stands today, rising above the rooftops. For many years, the monks tended their garden. They grew herbs for medicine, vegetables for soup, and flowers to brighten their little rooms. Then, in 1822, the monks moved away. The city of Buenos Aires was growing very fast. It needed a proper public cemetery, the very first one in all of Argentina's capital. a French engineer named Prospero Catalin came to redesign the old garden. He was a careful man who loved straight lines and gentle curves. He laid the stone paths so neatly that they still exist today. On the 17th of November, 1822, the iron gates opened. The cemetery was given its first name, Cementerio del Norte, the Northern Cemetery. Slowly, the families of Buenos Aires began to build their vaults. They brought marble on ships from Italy. They hired architects from Paris and Madrid. Some vaults had columns like Greek temples. Some had stained glass in deep blue and gold. One vault even looked like a small Egyptian pyramid. Each one told the story of a family, a name, a life. Marmol sometimes sat very still near the old church wall. She pressed one ear flat against the stone. In summer, the stone held the warmth of the sun. It was as warm as a sleeping dog. She imagined she could hear the soft footsteps of the old monks centuries ago watering their beans. Every morning, just after the gates opened, the volunteers arrived. Marmol heard the creak of the iron gate long before she could see anyone. Her ears rotated forward. Then came the sound she loved most, the soft rustle of a canvas bag. Buenos dias, chicos? It was Elena. She was one of a small team of volunteers who had cared for the Recoleta cats for many years. Elena wore a blue raincoat even on sunny days. She carried 2 canvas bags and a small notebook. One bag held dry food. The other held soft food in little tins for the older cats. The sound of her footsteps brought almost all 12 cats running. Tango ran, his round belly wobbling. Sombra appeared from behind a stone urn as if she had stepped out of shadow. Old Gatto arrived last with great slow dignity like a mayor at a ceremony. Elena set out the bowls in a long, neat row against the wall. 12 today, she said, counting heads. She made a mark in her notebook. She always counted. When old Gatto had been a kitten, more than 60 cats had lived here. 60? They had been everywhere, kittens chasing beetles, whole families wedged between tomb walls, cats sleeping under every stone angel. But slowly kind volunteers had worked to find homes for many of them. They had gently brought kittens to families who wanted pets. Veterinarians came to help keep the remaining cats healthy. The number came down to 40, then 20, then 12. 12 was a good, cared-for number. All healthy today, Elena said with satisfaction. She scratched Marmol gently behind the ears. Marmol leaned into her warm hand. Morning light arrived over the cemetery wall in one long golden stripe. It moved slowly across the stone paths like a wide paintbrush. A pair of sparrows landed on a nearby vault and cocked their heads at the cats. Nobody moved to chase them. By midday, the visitors began to arrive. The cemetery was open to everyone. People came to leave flowers at family vaults. Old women in dark coats moved quietly between the stone corridors. Young couples carried bunches of yellow sunflowers. Children held their parents' hands and looked up at the stone angels with wide eyes. Many visitors had heard about the cats. They came prepared. An old man reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small tin. For the guardians, he told his grandson, setting it near a carved stone pillar. His grandson crouched down and watched as Marmol padded over. She sniffed carefully. Sardines. She ate every last bite. At the far end of the main corridor, there was one vault that always had the most visitors. You could find it by following the trail of fresh flowers. Red carnations, white lilies, pink roses. There were often small folded notes tucked into the iron door. This was the vault of a woman named Eva Perón. Everyone in Argentina called her Evita. She had grown up poor in a small town far from Buenos Aires. But she became one of the most important women in all of Argentina. She helped poor families get food when they were hungry. She worked hard to make sure women could vote. She opened schools and hospitals across the country. People loved her deeply, and they came from every corner of the world to leave flowers at her tomb. Marmol knew this vault very well. In the afternoon, the pale marble caught the sun and turned warm and golden. She jumped up to a wide, flat ledge nearby and stretched out fully. The warmth spread through her fur like a soft blanket. Below her, a little girl in a red dress stood with her grandmother. "Abuela," the girl whispered, "why are there cats living here?" Her grandmother reached into her coat pocket. She brought out a small paper bag of cat treats. "They have lived here for a very long time," she said gently. "Since before your mother was born, since before I was born." She held a treat out toward Marmol. Marmol sniffed it carefully. Then she took it gently from the grandmother's fingers. She said, "Thank you," the little girl said. "I believe she did," said the grandmother, smiling. As the afternoon light turned from gold to amber, the visitors drifted home. The gates would close at 5 o'clock. The old church bells began to toll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Marmol slipped down from her ledge and walked the long main path one last time. She passed the old church with its white tower, still standing after nearly 300 years. She passed the vault where fresh carnations glowed in the fading light. She passed 100 marble angels, their stone wings folded. She passed the tombs of generals and presidents, scientists, and artists. She passed the vault shaped like a tiny pyramid, and the one with the blue stained glass. The air was cooling now. The south wall glowed faintly pink in the last of the sun. Marmol found her favorite place, a wide ledge near the back wall. The stone there held the last warmth of the day deep in its grain. She curled up tightly. White paws tucked beneath her chest. Tail wrapped snug around her body. Somewhere nearby, she heard Tango settle with a long, contented sigh. She heard Sombra's soft purr begin in the darkness behind a statue. She heard old Gatto shift and grumble and then fall quiet. 12 cats. 12 warm, breathing shapes in a marble garden over 200 years old. Outside the walls, Buenos Aires hummed on. Taxi horns. A tango band warming up in a cafe somewhere. The smoky smell of grilling beef drifting over the stone walls. But inside the cemetery, it was very still. The stone angels kept their quiet watch. The old church tower glowed pale against the darkening sky. One small gray cat with white paws slowly closed her amber eyes. And so, Buenos Aires also slowly fell asleep. Good night.